All right, who's next on this? Okay, we have another Emily. We have Emily Jo Manchester. Just met her. She's super awesome. Let's hear it from Emily.
I'm really nervous, so I'm just going to talk a little bit before I start because I'm scared. So, how many feminists do we have out there? Good, because this one, it's kind of, I haven't titled it yet, but I think I'm going to somehow dedicate it to my parents when I tell them I am a feminist, because my parents don't know it yet. Okay. Whew. I grew up in a home with one man, one woman, and two other girls. My parents did the best they could with the lot that they had chosen, marriage after high school and my older sister at 22. God bless the Army for that steady paycheck that kept us fed in the early days and for keeping Padre safe while he was out there fighting wars, but God bless the Army especially for the freedom I have to say the next few words to dear old Uncle Sam. Fuck you 3 times over for teaching my dad the sexism he still harbors today. And you know what? While I'm at it, fuck the world he and my mother grew up in for teaching her that college is for boys and for women who will never be married, that her body was only for giving fruit away, and her talents only for making nests and filling baby bellies. Fuck the age difference between her and her 2 sisters that kept them from it, but made my mother feel worthless by comparison. Fuck the society that kept my parents from teaching me and my sisters differently, because starting at age 7, Daddy used to warn me that penises were evil and that boys weren't allowed above the 2nd floor of our house. He taught me that I was at the mercy of all those around me and that I should always watch my back. I should never trust anyone. He used to say to me and my sisters that he wished we were all fat so no one would ever desire us. What was he saying about my mother? In elementary school, when I'd come home crying, Mom would say that little boy pulled my hair and called me stupid so I would know he wanted my attention. So when Jason started getting angry, I mistook it for adoration, because if a pulled ponytail meant a crush, then breaking a heart must mean true love. See, sex scenes were always fast-forwarded in my house, and no one ever told me that I was allowed to want it. I was afraid of my own body, so just like Eve, I tried to cover it, but unlike her, I never had a chance at discovering it, and when I finally did, the shame of it all turned to stolen kitchen knives, long-sleeved shirts, and longer-sleeved excuses. My parents didn't understand that the scars were from the cookie cutter they kept trying to put me in. How can it be called self-harm when it makes you feel so damn important? They were always trying to teach me self-defense and preventative maintenance. As long as I followed their advice, nothing could ever go wrong. They'd have a litany of rules. Cover your drink, Emily. Don't go to parties alone, Emily. Carry pepper spray, Emily. Don't be that girl, Emily. Cover your tits, Emily. It's okay to be a victim, Emily, as long as you go down screaming, Emily. They put violence in a box, taught me it can only happen in one way. Made up statistics to scare me from the life I thought I wanted to lead. It tricked me with the phrase, "You can be better than that, Emily." My mother taught me that I had to be a lady at all times. Cursing was for your weak moments, and you should never be weak in public, she said. But once I got to 8th grade, saving myself for marriage was her only concern. She didn't want me to be a slut, but she never told me what it was like to think you were in love at 15. She did teach me, however, that when you are in love, you give everything, but she told me that everything was my virginity, and that once it was gone, I would never be whole again. My mother taught me that I could only be wanted if I were intact and clean. So, when I got to high school, I fell in love with the first boy I kissed. We fucked with the lights off for 7 months before I ever let him see me naked, and I only ever did because he fought me for it. Said he dreamt of me like astronauts dream of stars in the daylight. He wanted me like city folk want stars through their nasty smog. He was always comparing me to those stars, but really, I was a prisoner without windows, and the lights he saw were the dismantling of every good thing I had ever thought about myself. But don't you worry, you don't have to tell me that I'm beautiful. I already know. See, I grew up in this body. It just took me a long time to call it home. I used to think this world hated me because I was always in the wrong. It has taken me years, but I've outgrown the idea that I need to fit into their box. The assholes at the cookie cutter factory had gotten really bad at their jobs, and their plastic shapes were suffocating me, blaming me for every single mistake that they had ever made, and my lungs couldn't hold the screams in anymore, so I pushed out of the holes in their misshapen cast until I was sure enough to shatter it. My eyes are finally open. Knowledge pours into them instead of shame running out of them, and I finally see the world for what it is. I have finally learned the words for the silence I've been forced to keep. Oppression never used to mean a thing to me. Now I know I am not the second sex. I am not an incidental being. I am a woman, and not human is not what that means.